Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to our select board meeting here on July 7th, 2022. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got quite an agenda to try to get through today. And I'd like to try to get everybody out before it gets dark. Yep. Start with reviewing and approving the minutes for June 2nd, 2022.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes of June 2nd, 2022.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? I think I have time. Is there a copy here somewhere?
No, I didn't print one.
Oh, I forgot to print one too. Just make sure we didn't miss something. If not, that's okay. But I know we all reviewed it electronically.
Yes.
It's not in there, Zach.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
We won't have a sign at the end of it.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't print one to sign, yeah. Maybe I can try to go up and do it.
I'll put it in a folder.
Okay.
All right, no discussion. All those in favor of accepting the minutes of June 2nd, 2022, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
I have a couple things about the minutes. Nicole, make sure you write approved, motion was approved at the end of approving minutes.
Okay.
The auditor found some that were not done.
Correct. Okay.
So I do have like 3 different dates that minutes need to be re-signed
Okay.
due to motions. It says motion was seconded, but doesn't say motion approved, and she wants that to say that.
Okay.
So, I have them all here and you can go over them,
Okay.
when you sign orders if you want.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, so we don't have to
take a
take up
look
the
at
time.
it. Yep. Any adjustments to the agenda? I think we'll move highway up to the top just to get that done and over with and Harold up. Any other adjustments?
I don't see any.
What's that?
I don't see any. Nope.
All right. Okay, we'll move on with the agenda. Law enforcement updates. I don't really have an update on the radar speed feedback signs yet. I'm still working on that, so more to come as soon as I hear about the speed study and other things. So I'll when I get info, I'll pass it along to everybody. Complaint follow-up. Aaron, and
I did want to add on that law enforcement, which we were talking about law enforcement updates and whatever. Yeah. I was thinking that maybe for the time being, we should possibly try doing something with the sheriff's department for so many hours a week. At least we're trying to do something.
Okay.
For the time being and see how that goes. I know we had lots of discussion on that, whatever, but it seems like for the time being, it would be money well spent to try to do something.
Yep.
To at least get a car visible here during the week.
Yep.
So I don't know how we need to go about that. That's my thought. I don't know how you guys feel.
I can reach out to the sheriff's department, get an agreement, and see, to what length,
Like how much it costs and how much we would spend to do that if we took like $10,000 and divided it into the rest of the year or something. I don't know,
We have it, we have what's left in the constable's budget line.
Right.
We could put towards that. So what I'll do is use that number to take to the sheriff's department and say, this is what we have. Is to work.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to use the full amount. I was just thinking to start with something and see how it goes, and
You wouldn't think halfway through the year would end up using the full amount.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yep. And then so what we can do then as well is see what length of time, and maybe what my thought would be, if we do that, we do it to the end of the year.
Yeah.
And when we start looking at the next year's budget in
Right.
November,
Take a look at that. See how it's going.
discuss how and any other potential options that may have been presented. But I think you're right. It gives us something at least in place, and if they are able to do what they can do, at least that.
Just to visit, really always seem to have a big complaint of speeding and this and that. So if we can get something happening here, I think that's a good thing to do.
Okay. I'll see if I can get a hold of them. And I can at least get the document together for the next select board meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
see if it's possible. See what we can do.
And if you're busy, I can work on that, whatever.
Okay. Yeah, either way, we can at least get the ball rolling and
Yep.
keep you in the loop. Anything else on law enforcement?
Nope.
Okay. Complaint follow-up, Aaron?
So I did reach out to the LCT's Municipal Assistance Center, and was in conversation with staff attorney Susan Senning that we've dealt with here a couple of times. One good thing is the select board meetings are recorded. So the staff attorney was able to use Kingdom Access TV to review the incident. Her response was, the board can address these complaints at a meeting, but it does not have to. The rules of procedure are internal rules and policies adopted by the board for its own use, so folks know how public comment will be managed during meetings. It can choose to amend them at any time and they don't carry the same weight as the open meeting law and or Public Records Act requirements, for instance. Complaints that those have been violated would warrant a formal response. I'm not aware of any board that has adapted a personnel policy that would apply to it, unlike conflict of interest policies, and even that is enforced by the board. I don't think the board needs to do anything if it does not want to address it. I suggest reviewing the rules and policies to ensure they reflect the board wants included and enforcing them consistently. Otherwise, they wouldn't be enforced by a member of the public. If she wants to evaluate the select board members, she can do so by using her vote. The board is governed internally by its own rules of procedures. The chair should enforce them consistently. Select board meeting is a select board meeting, not a town meeting. Therefore, rules can limit public comment to a certain extent. So it was the opinion of the staff attorney at Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns that no legal action needed to be taken by this board. If the board chose to, we could.
Aaron, what do you mean no legal action to be taken by the board?
There was no, the personnel policy and the rules and procedures that the select board adopted was what you had said the guys had violated. So her comment was, those are for the select board's use, the rules and procedures. And they don't carry the same weight as an open meeting law or Public Records Act requires. So it's the lawyer's opinion that the town does not need to address it unless it wants to, though she did suggest reviewing the rules and policies to ensure that they reflect what the board wants and is making sure that they are enforcing them consistently. So essentially at the end of it, at least, it says that if you're not happy, you don't have to vote for them. So that was the opinion of the staff attorney at VLTC.
Are you through, Aaron?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
May I just say something? Directly to Zach, because Zach, sorry. Sorry to say your head's... Oh, I do have a big head. I had written a letter to the board, and about this incident that you're referring to now.
And I'm just gonna ask if anybody speaks, please tell me your name first.
Ellen Katie.
Thank you.
C-A-D-Y. And I did appreciate very much you advising me before the meeting occurred that you probably wouldn't be reading the letter. But I thought it was a polite letter, very respectful, and I just wondered if there was a policy about the mail that the board received. About is it just on an individual basis, or?
So my understanding, I'll let anybody chime in, but my understanding is that the board, we have the ability to review any correspondence that we get. And depending on what it is, we will acknowledge that we've received correspondence as a board. But if we feel like it doesn't require us to conduct business for the town, we don't need to necessarily read that aloud as part of the meeting. So I think the other part of that was at the same time we'd received correspondence around mowing at the Scott Highway Memorial. That's obviously an obligation of the municipality to figure out how that's done, and of course requires us to conduct business as the town to make that. So that's why I think the decision was made to not read, the correspondence aloud. The select board had obviously all read that correspondence and taken it under advisement. And so that's what we decided to move forward with the correspondence.
So I guess I understand that. I understand the role now that you've explained it, that it didn't have anything to do with business, but I guess personally, the way the world is now, I guess I just thought, just for being common, being common decency and civility to each other, when we speak in a way that maybe we regret, that it would be nice, we live in a small town of 900 people, that we can work together and maybe apologize to one another. We all say things we don't mean sometimes, and we all maybe use a voice that's a little stronger than we mean it to be, but I personally really felt that this was owed an apology for the way she was spoken to and treated. So that was really the reason I wrote the letter in the first place. But
well, I appreciate you coming here and talking to us about it. I think I've said my piece about the happenings at board meetings in the past and what has been going on for several months now, and I don't feel like I owe anybody an apology. I think that my response to the way I've been treated, I think is also not necessarily appropriate either, and feel that if apologies are going to be made, they need to not just be made on behalf of myself or on other select board members, and that's how I feel about it. I think that there have been enough personal attacks over the last 6 months that have led to the point where we're at, and I'll say I started to feel like honestly, I'm being treated like an outsider in this town because I'm not from here. I didn't grow up here. I've only lived here for 10 years. And personally, that's what it's starting to feel like. As somebody who's stepped up and wanted to participate in our town political process to be able to help us make our town better and be constructive. And like I said previously, I don't feel like that's being reciprocated by everybody in the town, or even the folks that, some of the folks that are coming to these meetings regularly. We're questioning, we're attacking, and we're tearing down what we're trying to do here as a select board. So that's my personal opinion about it, and I'll let others speak if they want to, but that's all I have to say.
Well, I'll just go on record as saying, personally, I think we should all speak respectfully to each other, both ways. And that's just...
Yeah, and we're trying to run a town here. That's what our job is to look out for the best interests of the town and look out for spending and budgets and everything that goes on daily through here, and we all have other jobs too. So this is, we're doing the best we can with what we have. So
I get that. I've done a lot of volunteering in my day, and in this town too. And I've only lived here 14 years, so I know what you're saying about that. But yeah, I think we just have to pull together, stick together, and do our best.
Yeah, which we've all said. We said work together, and we seem to have had things that seem to work against us. So working together and being nice to everybody is like a group effort. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's a two-way street. So that's where we're at. And we have a lot of stuff that is really important that we need to deal with and get through instead of trying to bicker and deal with this stuff right now. Too.
I will just add that the bickering seems to have been one-sided. and it wasn't me. I haven't done any bickering. I've been keeping my cool at all the meetings. I haven't said many words. You guys are the ones that have accused and have said all sorts of things that you're throwing at me, that I'm the person that is responsible for all of this mess, and I am not. And you guys are wrong. I'm not the one who's been sitting here pointing fingers. I've been addressing concerns that I had. Was making the public aware of exactly what was going on, not to imply that there was any misappropriations going on, but I wanted them to know what was going on with the amount of raises that we're going to be incurring or being voted on. That's all I'm doing, and I never once spoke bad to you guys. I never spoke disrespectfully to you, and all I get from you folks is...
Or any town employees?
Pardon me?
Or any town employees?
I didn't speak disrespectfully to any town employees.
You have
Absolutely not.
I disagree.
I would respectfully disagree with that as well. And
We're moving on.
we at this point,
Full agenda, let's go.
Yeah.
at this point, it's, I think what it comes down to, all in all, is exactly what Ellen said, which is we need to be respectful both ways. We need to be doing things as a town to do better for the town. And, if there are concerns, we can try to address concerns, but honestly, what we've done for the last 6 months is nothing but concerns about, which have been insinuated to other people in the public about mistrust with this municipal body. So although you've said things that have been respectful and have been in line with our rules of procedure, the information, and I'll stand by my statement from February, the information that's being presented to the public is only part of the truth. And it has insinuated distrust with public officials, elected officials, for their job responsibilities, for the responsibilities of this board. And at this point, we need to move past it. We're going to continue to move forward. So with that, I'm going to close this part of the meeting, and I'd like to move on the agenda so that we can get some of this other important work done.
Good.
All right, SOV closeout agreement finalization.
I got word that it's been submitted. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
And Brett from the state of Vermont approved it this afternoon.
Awesome.
So we're all done. So
All right.
that is
Great. Good job.
wonderful news.
Thanks.
What is SOV?
State of Vermont.
State of Vermont. Sorry. All right, we're going to jump into department updates. So we'll start with NEK CUD touch base. Oh, wait.
Yeah, highways, move to the top.
You moved highways to the top.
Wow. I'm sorry.
You drew an arrow on everything.
I drew an arrow on everything. Okay, all right, my apologies. Okay, highway. That's my fault.
So as far as I know, we got one bid for roadside mowing.
One bit.
That's it?
It'll be a tough call.
The bid is for,
One pass on gravel roads, 2 passes on the class 2 blacktops.
okay. And what is that compared to, oh, sorry, yeah, let's start there. This is from Rainbow Ridge Farm.
Oh.
It's done it the last couple of years.
He's done it since I've been here.
What does this compare to last year's bid for the full thing?
The full thing last year, I think it was 65.
And what is it this year?
$6,000. Bids for $6,000 for one pass on the paved roads, or no, one pass on the gravel road, two on the paved roads.
Who else does this? Who did we just, nobody else, do we
Have we
know?
looked into even leasing or renting a tractor with a...
Oh, I don't know if you want to get into that whole thing.
Danville and St. Jonesbury do that.
Yeah.
They
So we
follow
usually do
together.
2 passes, is that why you're saying that's a lot of money? Okay.
Well, yeah, we usually,
6,500.
yeah, and we do
He's only
2
doing
passes
one
for
pass.
6,500.
Is it because he's only doing one pass, or it's just because everything's up so much this
Okay.
year?
Because everything's up so much. I mean, as you know, I mean, fuel prices are,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
So literally, it should be, it's like double what it would be, you know, per se, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's like
We
everything else.
paid $2.50 for a gallon of diesel last year, and it's 6 something this year.
Right.
I mean, that's why I come to the board a month ago.
Mm-hmm, yep,
I said, you know, what are we gonna do?
yep,
Because I knew it was gonna be,
yep. We don't really have much option, so.
When will he do it, if you choose him?
should start hopefully in a couple weeks.
I remember it was always a concern to have it done before school started. You
Yep.
know, because the entrance ways and kids.
I'm assuming the end of the month, first of next month,
Okay.
because we're late.
Well, I'm sure that the highway department could do some weed whacking stuff if there was few problems in certain areas, right?
Sure.
All right, I'll move to accept and approve the bid for Rainbow Ridge Farm for roadside mowing for 2022 for $6,000.
Second.
All right, any other discussion on it?
Nope, it is what it is.
Hopefully gas prices come down next year.
They won't. I don't know.
Depends on the
It's
contract.
gonna come down for what it's been.
Those fuel companies are barely getting by, you know.
Oh, yeah, jeez. Having a hard time fueling up their private jets. All right, any other discussion? All right, call to a vote. All those in favor of accepting Rainbow Ridge Farm for roadside mowing for 2022 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. That is approved. All right, what else you got?
The only other thing I got is I'll ask permission to use some of my Haven reserve fund to patch up that hole on Minor Hill.
Oh, for the culvert.
Yeah, culvert we put in,
Okay.
because I don't have even money in my budget.
How much is it that you're needing?
I haven't figured it up yet.
Okay.
I mean, we're just gonna go get what we need and do it ourselves, so, I mean, it's just the price of the blacktop, it's not
Okay.
having it done. Just thought it'd be a good place to take it from.
Okay.
Makes sense.
What's that reserve fund currently at for a balance?
I think 50 plus.
Okay.
I think we put 50 in it this year.
Yeah. Rated
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Well,
Not,
we'll put
yeah.
50,000 in it this year.
Took everything out of that last year, year before.
I think there was a little bit left.
Yeah, there was a little,
Okay.
it's not in there.
So, I mean, how much do you think it's gonna be close to, so we can?
I'm assuming probably, I don't even know what price of blacktop is right now.
What do you
I
think?
mean, $2,000 is probably high.
What's that?
2,000 is probably
Okay. Yeah. All right, well then,
It's all right with me.
yeah, I think I'll make a motion to use what is the highway paving reserve fund, up to $2,000 for filling a hole on Minor Hill.
Second?
All right, any other discussion about that? Sounds good to me. All right,
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
That's what it's there for. right?
motion's passed, that's what it's there for, yeah.
But I gotta ask permission to use it. That's all I got. Have a good night.
Thank you, Harold.
Okay.
Thanks, Harold. All right, now, anything's QD update. So I'll start with we've been back and forth pretty much since last week, Mike and I, and Gavin Reed on the infrastructure proposal. I think the proposal itself is all set. I think there was just a question about the addendum and if we wanted a specific addendum for, I think, what was it, just an indemnity clause, basically?
Yeah, it's an indemnification suggestions or recommendations, I should say. And NEK Broadband, the agreement's been across multiple towns now. They've kind of standardized in the agreement. We've got our Groton specific addendum that gets, or appendix it's called in the agreement, that gets into the specifics with respect to the infrastructure build out in Groton. So I think that's where we go and make the request for the clauses that Gavin has requested, versus trying to get 5+ towns, plus NEK Broadband, plus the state now, ECBD, all on board with the modified agreement at this stage. So I think what I would do, if you guys give me the go-ahead, would be to go back to Krista Shute, the NEK Broadband Director, and say, this is what we'd like to request. Adding these specific sentences into the Groton appendix.
No, that sounds good. I think that makes sense, and then I think we don't need to necessarily bring it back to the meeting. I think as long as that's good to go, I can sign off on that and
yeah, I think what we
already voted on
passed
it.
was the motion contingent on a satisfactory legal review, so if this happens, I think we've achieved that. So I did hear from Peachum. Peachum had a select board meeting that was scheduled last night. They had electrical or electronic issues or technical issues. The select board meeting did not occur. They have originally signed the agreement. They were going to look at some amendment to that agreement based on stuff that they're asking to be put in, which is already in our version.
Gotcha.
So that won't be, I mean, I spoke to the governing board rep from Peachum. He's like, hey, don't worry, okay, we're on track for all this stuff to happen. The select board chair actually sent the NEK Broadband director an email today and explained things. Their next meeting isn't going to be till July, whatever the third week, July 17th or something like that.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is that we go get everything in front of all those changes to the appendix in front of NEK Broadband director, get those worked in, and then you are poised to sign once Peachum goes.
And then,
17th.
yeah, I think the only other piece we were talking about, that Lisa and I talked about, was that we're going to make a motion right now around the expenditure of funds separately, because it needs to be its own thing. But I think with what we've discussed, it's going to be the $40,800, which is
Yeah, I think if you do make that motion, we waive money, just want to add the Peachum thing, contingent on Peachum approving.
okay.
Because otherwise, if they don't, we're back.
Yeah. So,
Do we need to really make a motion right now?
well, well, I mean, for the expenditure's going to be what it is. Peachum, I think, is on board. It's just a matter of paperwork on their end too. So I'm okay with making the motion contingent upon Peachum, and then we can basically check the box and be good to go. And then that lines everything up for ARPA funds. So when the time comes to actually, cut the funds over, it's good to go, and we're put that behind us. So
Okay.
we'll be done. So that sound good?
Yep.
All right.
What do you think, Ian?
That sounds good. Yep.
All right. So I will move that the Groton move that the town of Groton approve the expenditure of $40,800 of ARPA funds for the NEK Broadband Infrastructure Agreement, contingent upon approval by Peachum, Vermont.
You happy with that?
I think so. Did I catch everything?
I will second it then.
All right. Any other discussion about it? I think we've got it pretty well squared away. So, all right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes. Okay. So that's good. That's good. All right. Now, OLT cabinet easement discussion. So, Mike, I will admit I've read some of the documents, but not all of them.
I brought a packet and you can just go through it if you want. It's not
Okay.
just
Yeah.
pictures and.
If I could just intro
Okay.
Karen Becky here, who's working with NEK Broadband on this project, which is really the equipment cabinets, and what are there going to be 25 of these optical line terminal OLT systems set up across NEK, the whole Northern Standard region, which will serve the communities there with high-speed
Did you sign
internet
on?
once the fiber builds out.
Thank you so much.
gets finished. In our case, this OLT cabinet is going to serve customers in Groton and also in Reading.
Gotcha. So I think we kind of got the basics of the OLT cabinet a while ago, but I guess the biggest question is, did we finalize a spot that you're putting it on the property?
Not yet, and we do have a, our first choice location, which would be to the north, I think, the side of the fire station.
Yep.
To the right, I think that's north. That would be an ideal location, but I also know that you're planning parking lot renovations.
Correct.
And so I don't know if that would change that for you. We need to be close to power, a power
When are we
pole.
talking this cabinet's actually gonna, like, when would it be installed?
Okay, so we're talking the fall of 2023. We would probably, it would go on a concrete slab, so we could even put that in the fall. The cabinets and the electronics would be turned up in the spring of
So that
24.
project should be done, but
Well, we wanted to kind of do.
It's in line with the
We thought we
so
should do it at
the
the same
parking
time to get
lot
our underground in, so
about
we
the
don't.
same time
yeah, I'm just thinking the parking lot project would be done by the time,
this starts, yeah.
yeah.
So the plan with our drainage improvement and parking improvement out here is, we're on track currently, just subject to change at any point, to be done hopefully next summer. We're gonna have at least half the work done, if not all of it.
Okay, so summer of 23, okay. Oh,
So,
that's-
which would,
But here's the thing,
wouldn't
so
affect that.
depending on where we are, we would have an underground or aerial power line that would need to go to the site. We'd have our own meter.
Yep.
So
You
if we
wanna do
under,
that at the same time
Exactly.
you're doing
Yeah.
the project.
and we'd get Green Mountain, what's the power?
Green Mountain.
Green Mountain
Green
Power.
Mountain,
We would get them to do it.
Why do they do underground?
Well,
not
we don't
overhead?
have to. Depending on where we're located, we don't know if we might already have an aerial line, right? Because you have the fire trucks coming out, right?
yeah.
Well, yeah, but if we ran it up the side, I mean, I'd rather see it overhead than down in the ground, because it's another thing.
Okay, and
Another
yeah,
thing to deal
So I
with.
think we can work the
So we'd
details
like to
out on
coordinate
that
that.
for sure. Yep.
and there's one mistake I made, I'll admit on television that
Don't
when
worry, I already made mistakes tonight.
when I talked to Mike the other day, I said that we were replacing two 2,000 cabinets. 2,000 is just the size.
Yep.
We're replacing one 2,000. I had two in my brain, so I revised that on there.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so my goal here tonight is for us to maybe find a spot, if not tonight, at least we agree that we can locate a site here.
Yep.
And then get the easement language in front of your attorney.
Yep.
And then we can go back and forth with him.
Okay.
If that's.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so what I'm thinking is if the board's good with it, what we'll do is maybe after the meeting, we can walk right out here and look at a couple spots. That way we can kind of see, I think where we had talked to initially, I know Mike and I had talked previously about a couple of alternate locations as well.
And I'm happy to look at those. I know we talked a little bit about the grassy section, but my concern there, the easement, the easement size has increased because our cabinets have increased since last February when I was with Mike out here. We thought sometimes we could do a minimal easement size of 10 by 10, but we really need something larger.
Okay.
The concrete pad won't be that size. That just needs to hold the cabinet and the fuel cells. That will be for the backup power.
Yep.
Which again, I have pictures in that
Yep.
package.
Yep.
And I worry about the aesthetics for your neighbor to the north, if, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
if it fits, we're okay with it.
Yep.
I did do record research on that, and it looks like
Yeah, and the
that
fire
person's.
department's probably gonna have to fit too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we'll,
I don't know
yeah,
if
so I
that's
think,
gonna be-
you know, if it's all right, after we're kind of done with the meeting, if that's good, we'll go out and we can walk around and look at the kind of different spots that maybe.
Get like an A, B, and C choice or something like that?
Yeah, get it down to a couple.
Yeah,
places.
Okay.
I don't know.
You
I don't
take
know
the-
if time
I mean-
or another time we have to meet and go over it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that could be a possibility too is hooking the fire department up with free broadband, right?
Well, logistically, I know.
Well, if that's gonna be the case, you put it down my house.
Where do you live?
My house is right down the street.
Logistically, Chris and I have talked since as I talk to you,
Yeah.
and as much as we'd love to do something like that, logistically, it's a nightmare to have to, you know, offer free broadband to even a private landowner. It's just,
Yeah,
it's just logistically to have to follow through with that, and,
yeah, that.
yeah, it gets.
But you'd have to rent a piece, you'd have to do some kind of, if, depending on the situation, right?
Well, what we're hoping to do is to secure a perpetual easement with you, with the town,
With the town.
right? So, versus leases,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a lot more work to do on that, and, you know, as far as figuring that out and stuff like that,
So I think the biggest thing is we need to kind of figure out primary, secondary locations. Get the easement documentation to a point that we can get it off to Gavin Reed, our attorney, to review and make sure that it looks correct. He's gonna be doing a lot of easement work for us this year, but that's fine. So that we make sure that that's all good
Sure.
and that we understand what that is, and then I think we need to vote on the finalized easement, correct? To approve the finalized
And
easement.
the town of Groton is one of the first, like, in the 5, 6 OLTs that we're building, so I mean, it's kind of exciting when you think about it. We're bringing, you know, high-speed internet to unserved and underserved, and Groton is like,
So when do you need these documents signed?
well, I would say, once we know where the location is, we'll describe it, we need to describe it within the easement deed.
Okay.
And I also included language in the easement about coordinating with your parking lot renovations, should that occur, you know?
Yep.
I wasn't sure of the status of that before tonight. And then we'd like to get it in front of the attorney, Gavin, and go back and forth, you know, you can go back and forth, change, and then get it signed when, you know, this, because it doesn't really mean anything unless it's signed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
think the issue is if we ultimately, for whatever reason, decide not to sign it, Karen kind of hits the reset button here, right? In Groton.
Well, and Gate,
Figure out
right,
when-
and Peachum, it's all tied together, those, the
So I-
site there was something, I'm just going to think something about, our backbone is being built, I mean,
Yeah.
it's designed.
Yeah,
So, for us to have to go back and redesign, the backbone, we'd be starting at square one, and of course, if you know, with these funds, if you don't use it, you lose it,
Yeah.
so, or you
Yeah.
have to give it back even. Yeah,
So, I mean, I guess whatever, I mean, we get the process going today, or
Yeah.
whatever, and then work it to a point where we get it in front of Gavin.
Yep.
And I think that the priority is avoid if at all possible, any rework or redesign.
absolutely, because
and I'm
we just,
not necessarily concerned as much about that as it is just where do we want to put it. I think we're agreeable to
Yeah.
having it here. It makes sense to put it, it's an infrastructure piece that could be put with the municipal building, because we're not moving the municipal building in the foreseeable future.
perfect.
So, you know, that means that, you know, town property is the town property, and we
And it's perfect that the town would host it because it's for the community, you know,
Correct,
so.
correct.
it's-
which we're obviously, you know, we're supportive of with the backbone project for sure, so I think let's look at, you know, primary and secondary locations, so we kind of have that laid out. Obviously, we want to finalize that in the deed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're to the point where you've got, you know, your engineer, or whoever's kind of your, you know, construction lead on this.
Yeah.
Would be good after we kind of look at what primary and secondary locations are, make sure that they're feasible and lay that out, because obviously we need to have that kind of,
Sure.
you know, we need to have that firmed up for the easement, so. So I think does that sound like, I think, a good next couple steps? So
Sure.
we can kind of, there's a couple of thoughts I have, just knowing a little bit about the infrastructure project that may help
Okay.
with that kind of decision-making as well, so.
Okay, the plans that Mike sent me for that were dated, I think, November, no, was it November? I can't remember, but for your plans for the
Yeah.
parking lot?
We
Are they
updated
good?
them
Oh, I
a
think-
little bit, but
Yeah,
not,
okay.
for this, it doesn't necessarily impact where we had talked
Okay.
about as the initial location, but kind of thinking through it, you know, with what Tristan just said, kind of thinking through it, it makes sense to look at a potential alternate location, just because
Sure.
I don't know how that impacts the fire department, but
I don't anticipate any problems whatsoever, but if you guys do, you might know something more than I do.
No, I don't know anything else.
No, but
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sometimes some people.
Yeah, and then we have the neighbor and whatever, so
Yeah.
we gotta, and it makes noise, cause I'm looking at the
And no,
noise.
but it's not,
I didn't say it's loud, I just said it makes noise, I didn't say.
only when the fans kick on in the summer, right?
I'm
Yeah,
just,
okay.
I'm just saying,
You'll
it
probably
does
put
make
it in our
noise.
electronic sign up front. Our electronic sign
Exactly.
kicks
Makes
on
noise.
when it's
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
I can't hear from my house, so it can't be that bad.
so I'm just saying.
So, okay, so I think, confirming the location and then, getting the easement document completed. I don't think that that's insurmountable, so,
Perfect,
and any other questions about it, guys?
I don't believe so.
No, and I think we can have a lot of discussion, it's just hard to have it all right now,
Yeah.
without
Consideration for the easement?
figuring a spot.
Considering it's gonna help Rygate and Beecham?
What do you mean, with getting them to assist?
Well, I have to get an easement from Peachum as well, that they're.
Because they're gonna get
I
their,
understand that, if
Yeah.
you're asking for a lifetime easement, is there any consideration for it?
I mean, like as in,
Yeah, if you pay for half the parking lot, Joe, we have no
I
problem.
think that's fair.
true, but,
Usually in an easement, there is some consideration.
yeah. Well, I think, committing quite a bit of funds already to the backbone project that'll tie into this, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Rygate is as well on that one, but to Dan's point, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense to approach Rygate.
Well,
Because
we can put a when I worked at the hospital, we leased a piece of property for $1 a year to a company, and then we gave them $10,000 in funds, so, it's kind of we could do something like that if we wanted to, but I think at this point there's community benefit that comes from this, significant community benefit that I think is the important part.
Benefit for Northeast Kingdom.
Well, and for Groton, yeah. I think there's
Probably about like they're going to make money.
it's mutual benefit. I mean,
They're not in it to lose money.
yeah, I guess, well, I mean,
Well, yeah.
this is all part of the,
CUD is a not-for-profit, right, it's a
A
municipality.
lot of non-for-profits.
But they're not like Comcast or Spectrum.
Right.
yeah, gotcha. It's gonna be its own
Right,
thing.
and it's gonna be affordable, it's affordable access to high-speed internet, that's the whole point of the project across Vermont,
Yeah.
so.
Gotcha.
We're really fortunate, I mean, as unfortunate as the pandemic was, it really brought this to light,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Okay, so after the meeting, we'll pop outside
Does
and
that
look.
work for you, Karen?
Is
Yes,
that okay?
that's absolutely.
If you don't mind sitting through the meeting.
Not at all, I'm
For a
enjoying
little-
it, thank you.
Like 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Are there any hotels here?
Zach's
Campground.
Zach's got a big house.
Campground. I look like a camp.
Room in my
Yeah,
tent.
broadband maybe.
We could find out real easy.
All right, anything else on NEK, CUD? I think we covered quite a bit.
No. Nope.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, infrastructure project. I'll do a quick update. So when I was talking with Gavin about the broadband stuff, he mentioned that he had seen the correspondence around the easement for Mill Street, for the properties along Mill Street where the infrastructure is going to go. He did say that he felt that all of those properties are going to require an easement, even though it's not defined, the road is not defined on what width it is. He said even if it's 3 rod, he would say that it would still require an easement, especially because we're going to put a catch basin there and then down across a piece of property. So he said he was reaching out to Nate to get a copy of the plans to look at what that looks like and start pulling those easement documents together. So that's what he had communicated to me about that. So, and then I know Lisa, you had mentioned to me that we needed, the auditor had mentioned a vote for committing ARPA funds to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
she just noted that it wasn't, no motion was made, and
Okay.
she thought there should be one, or if you disagree, then
Well,
disagree, but.
My thing is, like, we intend to spend this money on the project. However, we're not to a point where we can make the financial commitment
Yeah.
because we have to finalize the
Yeah, we don't
plan.
know the
We
amount.
have to put it out to bid and know what that amount's gonna be.
Yep.
And I would suggest when we approve a bid for the project, that's when
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
all right,
So-
I'll explain it to her,
Yeah.
and she'll.
And if she has any questions, I'd happy to discuss it.
Sure.
Or however we wanna figure that out. But,
Yep, I'll
I
tell
mean,
her.
we don't, there's no, the timeline for us to commit the ARPA funds is still pretty significant timeframe. So it's, you know, even though we've said we wanna commit that money, you know, again, we said that and we just committed some of that to broadband.
Yeah,
So-
figure,
so-
so.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
So, and that's
that's
the thing, so that's
Yep,
what
okay.
because it's not, the project's not defined, and I would suggest that when we make a motion off of a bid, it's gonna be a multi-part motion that lays out all of that spending. So,
fine. Okay,
okay?
Yep.
Anything else for the infrastructure project? I think everything's on track. I
it was just the right of way, I thought that would be the next thing that
that's-
would come through.
Yep. So we'll wait for that info, and just the correspondence from Nate seems to say that he's meeting the FDA requirements.
Okay.
Or not FDA, what is it?
The,
USDA.
USDA.
Yeah, right.
That one's one of those four.
Yeah.
Those DAs, one of
Mhm.
those.
Those alphabet companies. Okay. All right, treasurer, Miss Lisa.
Okay, so every year we have to fill out the financial management questionnaire. Aaron, you would recognize it, I don't
Yep.
know if the other two will. So I complete all of it. I mean, some years we read each line, so it's very transparent. But I just highlighted the two that the select board needs to sign off on, because I don't know if you had financial training.
That one, what's the other one? Oh, right here. Have you deposited town monies anywhere other than a town account?
Deposited town monies anywhere other than a town account.
I don't believe so.
No, I don't, is that the one that's blank?
That's
That's
one of them
one
that's
of them.
blank.
Yeah.
I don't-
And then the other one is have select board members attended financial trainings.
And then underneath that paper is a financial training, that's coming up. I
Okay,
think it's 4 hours.
Yep.
And didn't know
9 a.m.
if,
to
I don't know
12
if it's Zoom or in person, but didn't know if you would be interested in that.
well, I haven't been to financial training,
Okay, so
officially for this, so.
okay, so we need to say no and then
You probably
sign.
haven't. No.
Not that I know of. I've been through a lot of financial training over the years. but
Yeah, so I would say the answer to that is
The
no.
answer to that is no. The answer to that is no.
And,
We'll let, yeah.
no, yeah, that's, okay. So that's the two, right, just, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did the rest. I mean,
Yep.
you can read them, you know, of
Yep.
course, because you're signing it. But it's the standard form
Tristan wanna look at that.
Anyone look at that?
that we have to do it every year. Usually it's the end of June.
Gotcha.
Not nearly as mean as you used to be. First year I was on the board, you handed those out to all the select board members and said, here, fill this out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
I'm interested in the financial training, but
yeah,
it's kind of schedule dependent.
Sure.
We should ask them if they'll do one on Saturday.
I know,
Be more convenient for.
On Wednesday from 5 to 7.
right.
Or Thursday from 6 to 8. Okay, you need that signed, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, do you need it, all of us to sign
No,
it?
just, I think you.
Okay, all right.
So, I did mention when you were going over the minutes that the auditor found 3 different dates, that, motions need to be said that it was approved. So, I found the different dates and I've printed them for you to notice the correction and sign off on them. So,
Okay.
those were the very first few meetings that, Nicole was here, you know, all the transition we were going through.
Yep.
So,
Gotcha.
we just have to fix those. She said that needs to be done.
Okay,
So we can do that.
yep, we'll take a look at that with the
And
orders.
then, the budgets, I handed out to all the departments, and we are at 50%. So review them.
We're halfway through the year, so no.
Right, right.
We still have money left, you're doing good.
So I completed fire department, second quarter, payroll, and the checks, after you sign the warrant in the, folder, I will have in the fire department folder. So Aaron, I don't know if you wanna take it and put it up in the fire station, or just leave it out in the.
Tonight.
Tonight,
Yeah, I can put it
after
up.
it's signed, I'll
Yep.
put it out there.
Yep.
Okay, the closeout agreement, all done. Financial questionnaire. So the auditor was here for one full day. She met with the people she needed to, and the field work has been completed, so we're really in good standings with that.
Good.
It's the time of year, July, beginning of August, where I get nervous because the balance in our checkbook is getting low. So I might need to borrow from the TAN note.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. I'll have to have you sign off on that. I'm trying not to, because sometimes I borrow and then we get like $30,000 and then we're fine. So Carrie's
Kind of
trying.
depends on when taxes come in, right?
Yeah, Carrie's trying to say, don't do it, you know, so, so I just wanted to say that we may need to.
Okay.
A couple grant information, things that are, happening. I submitted the recreational grant that was for the ball fields, you know, all the upgrade of the ball fields. That was for $5,000, and we received the money 2 days later.
Awesome.
So that's awesome, and it's, Aaron, I think you're the only one that hasn't read the packet that's in the select board folder, but, so we received the 5,000, and so we have kind of ordered a shed to put at the Puffer Field for them to store their equipment. Yeah, it's in there. So that's on hold until, she gets back to us when it can be delivered. So,
Okay.
And then there was another rec grant that was done in 2017 for the basketball backboards. And when I was speaking with, Peter might remember this, Dan Robinson submitted it back in 2017. And when I was submitting the first grant that I just spoke of, she said, by the way, I'm embarrassed, but I have another grant that you have not satisfied from 2017. So we worked together for about 3 solid days. I found receipts that satisfied her, so we were able to get $3,500, and that was deposited in 2 days.
Jeez.
So we got the $3,500. We paid for that out of reserves. So I suggest that we put it back in reserves. The
Okay.
$3,500.
They come out of town
I believe it's community building, but I don't.
community building reserve.
Yeah, I don't
probably
think
was.
rec had anything to do with it, but I'm gonna double check
Okay.
of which reserve it came out of, but I'm pretty sure it was community building
Okay.
reserves.
So if you want to confirm that, what we'll do is we'll look at that. We'll just, we can vote on that at the next
Sure.
meeting. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, I'll just leave it where it is until the next meeting, and then we'll vote on putting
Yep.
it in the reserves.
Perfect. Yep, that makes sense though. I mean, if we paid ahead of that grant out of reserves,
yeah,
then
we
we should just
paid
put it
for it
back
all,
in the
yeah.
reserve. That's fine. Makes sense.
So she was pretty lenient with me, and part of the gym floor being redone is a receipt that she was so kind to use towards the reimbursement.
Okay.
Didn't quite fit, but she allowed it. We went back and forth on tons of different things, and we finally satisfied it.
Gotcha.
So that was really exciting to get that done.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I think the moral of the story is make sure that if we get a grant and we spend money that we,
Well,
Make
they
sure you have
only
the
are good for
receipts.
2 years, so
Yeah.
she was, I think it was on her end that didn't quite follow up, but I didn't have any paperwork on it whatsoever. I remember in 2017 hearing about a grant that was applied for, but I never received any agreement whatsoever.
so maybe that was completely on their end then. That,
I think
Okay.
it was, and she said Dan Robinson's the one that did it, and he didn't give me any of the information, so, at that time. So, okay, and, so the next select board meeting is supposed to be August 4th.
Yep.
Yes.
Correct? And I was wondering what everybody felt about having it on Wednesday, August 3rd.
It's fine with me.
That's, yeah, actually works for me because I'm lying.
just because that's when we're gonna need to have the tax rate approved, and Carrie can't come that meeting,
We can do it August 12th too.
okay?
Yeah, I'll be gone on vacation.
Oh, okay, all right.
Nope.
So I just wondered, Thursdays don't work for her for the summer, and she wanted to come to
Yep.
that meeting.
Okay.
So, do you think that works?
I don't have a problem with
That's
moving
fine
it to
now.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
as long as I remember.
Screw up Taekwondo, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
But that's
Well,
upstairs.
well,
That's
yeah.
upstairs.
Well, okay, and so then I have a ton of stuff to go over for maintenance, but I'll do that
Okay.
down below. Thank you.
All right, town clerk Carrie left us, no, she couldn't be here. A couple things she wanted to be discussed. Act 157 repeals Vermont statute 19 VSA 312, which means highway funds no longer have to be separated out from town general funds unless the town chooses to do so. So if there's if highway funds are spent on a non-highway project,
Remember, that was like always
That's not-
taboo, you
It
know?
says sheet attached, but I didn't get a sheet attached.
I think
to that.
that's this, no, that's not that. She might have forgot that then.
That's fine.
Okay. Primary election, so August 9th is the primary election. And it'll be here 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Absentee ballots can be requested until August 8th. Need to be returned before the polls close on August 9th. Important thing to know, I saw this note and I wanted to make sure I mentioned it too, was when you get your absentee ballot, you get 3 ballots, correct? One of them is to vote, the other 2 are to be discarded because it's
right.
primary, so you get to choose which primary you're gonna vote in, so.
They don't get discarded. The 2 unvoted ballots go in the unvoted ballot.
Unvalid,
envelope.
okay, good, yeah. Let me read
Unvoted
the-
ballot envelope that
That's
is
right.
provided.
That's right,
Right, because
Okay.
they've had trouble.
Yeah.
yep. So I have to account for those, sorry, apologize. What's that? Don't.
Just
Okay, and then Lisa and Carrie are attending a election procedure training on July 27th. Vermont Department of Health is offering free COVID tests for municipalities. So she filled out the paperwork and received 232 tests to distribute to anyone in need. So they'll be with the food shelf stuff, and they'll be given out with food shelf orders and will be available in the entranceway. So, okay.
Sarah, would you, town received 232 COVID tests. Would you like any of those down at the library to pass out?
We also received.
Okay, you got some as well?
Oh, good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So you don't need any.
COVID tests everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought COVID was over.
Lisa's over there
yeah,
sneezing.
right.
But we're talking about other things now. You don't hear much about COVID on the news anymore.
Okay, NEK Waste Management Division for Northeast Kingdom no longer requires a vote to pass their budget. That doesn't make sense, but approved by their Board of Supervisors.
Be required.
The Waste District can come to a select board and discuss further and answer any questions. What portion do we pay into that though?
Well, remember, that's always
That's always
a
part of
town meeting, it's always a ballot.
Yeah, it's
About-
it's an item, it's a
Yeah.
vote on it. So apparently it won't be.
We
on the-
vote on that budget by appointing Tim Daly.
Yep.
That's how we vote on that budget, by putting somebody,
Yeah,
To represent,
the town of Groton.
Yeah.
where does that come out of the budget though? Random question, I know.
I think it's under appropriate, no, it's not under
Yeah, I don't know.
appropriations.
I think it is.
I don't think it's on the budget. I didn't,
Yeah, it is, for sure.
I think I mean, we have to vote on just approving their budget, but I think it's in the budget.
It is.
Not public works, no, wait, what? Because we pay in a certain portion. So, yeah, you said Tim Daly,
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
anyway,
Kitty Diggins as the alternate.
Yep.
Look on page 4, it
Oh,
says
4.
NEK WMD assessment. Is that
Oh,
it?
yep, partway down, yep. Joint recycling Rygate, that's part of that budget too, right?
Yeah, we pay that quarterly, yep.
So,
You know, it's all,
green up, I mean, everything there except for the green up is stuff that we pay into that, so it's what, you know,
right.
$8,800 a year. Anyway, okay. So, gotcha. Okay, so, any questions on that? I mean, it's in the budget, we don't vote on it anymore. Okay. All right. There's been a lot of dog complaints lately on Railroad Street and Welton Road. Are you working on that? Okay, I'll leave it to
We're
you.
gonna skip over you.
Yeah, when we appoint a new constable, we should make sure that facilitating compliance of the dog ordinance is
Okay.
part of that.
Can we have the sheriff's department work on that?
Has,
I think so.
I don't,
was it somebody gonna reach out to somebody about being the stand-in,
yeah.
Yeah, which I talked to Mark
Yeah.
Puffer, and he was all interested in.
cause he would help relieve some of
And-
this.
Yeah, he was actually all interested. I actually
Okay.
forgot about that till you mentioned something. Good call.
Who did you say it was?
Mark Puffer.
Mark Puffer, all right.
You said good training,
Yeah, cause he worked down to the Grafton there, whatever. Do we wanna, I don't know how to proceed with that. We, you know, like,
I think you have
we
to
need-
appoint,
have him
Well, we-
come in and discuss it and,
yeah, figure
So
out
my-
the duties.
Yeah, my suggestion would be that we need to
Well, we're
put
gonna
together.
get policy.
Well, I'd say-
We gotta be careful
Yeah,
because
so,
it's a whole different thing than what we had before and what we're, so
yeah,
we don't wanna get it.
Policies and procedures for it.
well, but we have to adjust those, well, yeah, but for the, dog ordinance, yes, for the dog ordinance. For the constable in
Yes,
general.
but you know, like legally, we don't want him to go and get into a problem
No.
and
I
it'd
think
be-
or something like that.
It'd be a civilian constable.
So I think we need to.
But we gotta have
Yes.
something
Written.
So-
written
Yeah.
for that.
Correct, so we need to, what it needs to be is the appointment letter that we give to any one that we appoint into a position. But we need to detail out exactly what specifically he is able to do as the
Which I
civilian
think we go by the
constable.
statutes.
Exactly, but we need to lay it out, and when he signs off on that, he needs to know exactly what he's getting into. Because I don't want him to feel like he.
Is that something you
has
have to
do
have a
something.
lawyer look at, like, so that
I
there's
think
no.
VLCT could help us.
Yeah,
Okay,
VLCT.
so that the
They might actually have.
town is not liable.
Yeah, they might have
They have a
a,
template.
they might have a template for
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Trevor Whip will come up with something.
Okay, so how do we wanna proceed with that? So,
You wanna talk to Mark about coming to the next meeting
yeah,
and
but,
try to get a letter see if we can get a letter from
Is that
VLCT.
an appointment? It's an elected
I
position?
think it's an appointment until town meeting.
Yeah.
If an elected official resigns, then the
Right.
select board is free to appoint. I guess that's one other thing we want to make sure.
The other thing is that now, because of the law that took place July 1st, you have the right to decide whether you want to just appoint him as civilian constable or if you want him elected.
Okay.
That's up to you three.
Is it up to us, or do we have to put that as a town
No.
vote?
it's up to
I
you.
think it would be good to appoint.
Yeah,
I think that should be an appointed position.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, there's a lot of positions. Okay, so we'll work on an appointment letter for that, and then have Mark come to the next meeting and
I'll talk to Mark.
see if I can email VLCT, see if they've got a template.
Trevor Whipple.
Trevor, yep,
Trevor.
gotcha. Okay. Alright, and then, what else was there?
I think that was
I
it.
think that was it. Was that it?
Yes, that was it.
Yep, that was it. Okay.
Thank you,
So,
Carrie.
thanks, Carrie. Dorothy, Assistant Assessor.
I have one more thing for Carrie's report.
Okay.
She and Lisa did the grant to get us that big printer copier. And she uses it a lot, and Gary's working on the grant with the railroad bed. And so I was able to take the little tax maps and blow those up into like 4-foot sections for them. So I think we just need to acknowledge the work that Carrie and Lisa did to get that grant for the town. It's really a good piece of equipment, and we're really utilizing it a lot, so.
Good.
That's
So
awesome.
noted in the
Thank you.
minutes. Yep.
So, Assistant Assessor, the grievances have been done and mailed. They were mailed yesterday. I'm going to be lodging the final grand list hopefully in the next few days. And then that can go on and move so that Lisa and Carrie can work on tax rate and that sort of thing. The current use audit, they came, we ended up with 2 coming from property value one day. Cy Bailey, who's worked with us a lot in the past, and then Barb Schlesinger, who is our district advisor, and John Westinghouse was here that day also. So we worked on, they had given us 14 properties, and then we had to go through and come up with comparable properties that were comparable. You know, if it's a farm, a land, and whatever, we had to come up with 2 that matched that. So when they come back to do the on-site visits, they're going to be looking at 33 properties all over town, back roads everywhere. So that's still, the only piece that's left on that is the roadside visits. And so I'm not sure when they're going to be doing that, but hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks to get that finished.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Once they do those roadside visits, then they go back to their office and.
Yes, and then they'll look at changes that we've made to the current use. If this property is in current use, is it being taxed and valued the same as that property that's not in current use? And is it are the values comparable? So that we're not, I think where this, and I'm not sure of this, but I think where this came from is like in the Burlington area, where you had some properties that were being valued at this, and then in the next town there's current use and it's a different set of figures. So the whole audit is new in the last few years, but it comes from the problems in Chittenden County is what I understand. So, but there were 8 towns that are being done every year, so. But it was good that 2 came, because Cy Bailey was our district advisor for a while, and he actually did one of our reappraisals when he was in the private sector. So I mean, he could say, oh, I want to look at that house on Minor Hill, that's a farm, that's got a little sugar house.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, we could look at that property. And oh, there's another one out at the end of this room. So it was good, because he knows the properties, and so that was good to have him part of it. So.
Awesome.
Good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dorothy.
You're welcome.
Fire and fast.
I don't have anything
Okay.
that day.
I think the only thing that came up since the last meeting was just the mowing around the fire station.
Correct, which I talked to Ben
Okay. Yep.
about doing some weed whacking, but that's not, you saw the
Yep.
letter,
Yep.
it's not really in his contract.
It's not, and I think
Blah, 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 and whatever, and really all it needs is a weed whack once in a while, I
I think
guess,
so.
right?
Yeah. It's not like there's a lawn around there. I don't know. It hasn't been mine.
Right, but it seemed to be the thing, we saw the email
Yeah.
about it and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, so.
Yeah.
okay. That's all. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
It's been done, and it looks really great.
Okay,
So he
good.
did a good job.
Who did
Like
it?
all around the
Ben.
building, and
Ben
then
did it?
out where we park and stuff.
Ask Ben if he wouldn't mind just doing it, whacking it down
And
and
while we're talking about Outback, Ben will pick up all the stuff that's laying around the Myers dumpster left over from Green Up Day and other pallets that are all broken up.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple tires. he said he would take them to wherever they need to be, either recycling or trash or what have you, and we would pay him, like from the maintenance budget
Yep,
line that
that's
he
fine.
pays. Okay.
Yeah.
So it should look a little better up there.
That is great. Cool. Thanks, Lisa. Library.
So, a few things to report on from June. We had a community cleanup with Rural Edge, where they sort of did some light painting of the general store, the Artisanal, as well as some gardening in front of the library, which I think they had, was a nice event. We had our ice cream social a few weeks ago, which was in partnership with the Vermont Department of Libraries, Sarkees. We also had a display from the volunteer fire department with summer safety materials, as well as some town information, voter registration information. So looking forward to future events and collaborations, but that was, I think, off to a good start. Through the Department of Libraries, we also received a second round of ARPA funding, $627 to go towards collection development. And also, because we're a municipal library, COVID tests were made available to us as well, so we have another 200 odd tests to provide to the public. Those arrived.
More tests and voters that show up to vote.
So those will be made available at the library. Ongoing, game night continues on Monday evenings. We've been on the front porch with popcorn, so if you're around, please join. On Wednesdays, we host a story time at 11 a.m. Try to be outside as much as possible in the garden behind the library, inside if it's rainy. 1 p.m. Crafts and Conversations has come back. I am writing a monthly newsletter, so if you do want additional updates about what we're doing over there, there's a link to subscribe to the newsletter on the library website, which is grotonlibrarypt.org. I think that's all I got.
Have you been getting many participants in your activities?
It varies, week to week. It has been very busy the past few weeks, just with, I think, school being out. But yeah, we have good, I feel good about the participation thus far.
Are you getting a lot of folks out of the state forest that are camping or anything like that?
I don't have a good sense of that just because I'm so
Gotcha.
new, so I can't say.
Okay.
But that is something that is on my mind, how to connect with the state forest. I did reach out to them to see if they could provide some maps and other sorts of programmatic information and potential collaborations. So we'll see what comes of that.
I gotta think of his name, but there's a guy that used to work up at Fairbanks Museum.
Yep.
That now works down at
Stillwater.
Stillwater. And he's doing I think it's every Wednesday night at the campground. He's doing an astronomy
Oh, really?
class. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
so I would love
No,
to.
but I haven't. Yeah, the guy is fantastic. He used to run the planetarium with
Clerk.
Fairbanks.
No,
What's
it's
that?
not. It's not Mark. It's
I'll have to
another
look it
fellow.
up. Oh man, I just remember he did the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. When was that? 2019 at Fairbanks, and it was fantastic. Like the program he put together. So he might be somebody that might be interested if he's got time to come do something too, potentially. So
That'd be great.
I'll think of his name, and I think I'm Facebook friends with him, so I'll look him up.
Thanks.
Sometimes with events in the past too, like community bike rides or hikes, just taking the flyer up into the park can oftentimes get it up on the boards there and that. So,
Yeah.
because it's hard to reach them all the time, and I'm not sure if they've got printers or whatever, but maybe that can be the entree into the next event. It's getting it up there and also figuring out how they want to. It's such a short window, but the posters work well just because they've got spots to put those.
Yeah.
If they're bought in, then it's relevant.
Yeah, I just started corresponding with someone, so I look forward to see how, what how the conversation develops, and, you know, would take any contact names that you think might be helpful.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Cool. Thanks. Zoning administrator.
Several things. First of all, I'm sure you've all heard about the debacle on the docks in Groton Pond. It has since been resolved through the state. It took me a week to get them to acknowledge that there was a problem at the north end of the pond. And so now docks, we have precedent law now that they've sent out. The docks can stay in for 6 months at a time, and they can be the length that's needed in excess of 50 feet to be able to finish boats. Having said that, the person that originated the complaint is now filed a complaint against me personally. So I'll be handling that. It has nothing to do with the town. I'm dealing with that internally.
Civilian complaint, Dan, or that's against the zoning administrator or against you personally?
Both.
Okay.
But I'm handling it on my own. Fencing out here by the community garden. We need to put some fencing up headed back towards the septic so that people aren't driving on there. We've had quite a few people drive up on there, whether they're going to the community garden or turning around or whatever they're doing. Lisa and I have put up signs several times, and they run over the sign.
So do we want people driving out there at all?
No.
So Mike, I'm just gonna turn to Mike because I know he's involved with the community garden. I haven't seen or heard of anybody from the community garden driving over that.
Well, the only spot that we've driven up is against the far fence, away from the septic.
Okay.
Right, which is adjacent to the house that's on the west side.
Right.
So I'm pretty confident it's not a community garden person who's doing this. So,
I'll send
I can put the word out. I have a feeling it's somebody, I don't know, so I haven't seen it.
I'll put I can just, because I'm on that email group, I can just send out an email, just a friendly reminder.
Yeah.
Please don't drive one. But it sounds like it's somebody else.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna solve the problem. I think we should do that, but
Yeah.
I got a trail cam with it, but I don't see it.
We have the fencing that runs down the side. All you have to do is come off of 3 sections in an L shape and be done with it, and that would take care of it.
So I think, is there still, I put a couple of spools of goat fencing over back, it's probably back in the back corner, I think now, just to have over there in case we could probably get some posts and put that across the front temporarily at least, maybe.
Mike has worked on the timer. I came over one day because the timer had been shut off at the big spigot down here. And Mike and I have both worked on the timer itself because they had a heavy hose on it, and that's not designed for heavy hose. The only other thing I have under that, and I don't know whether this should go under zoning or health, but I've been handling the dog complaints. I came here tonight to let you know you need to appoint a dog warden. This page has 58 dogs from last year that were registered that are not registered this year. Some of the people work for the town in various capacities. It doesn't speak well of it. The complaints I had, I've gotten 9 complaints, 16 different dogs. None of the 16 dogs are on this sheet. So we need to appoint someone that's going to go around, make sure these dogs have the rabies shots, and get registered. It's a state law. So I think it's very important. I'll continue to handle complaints until you get somebody on board. Just because the people want some response. And our dog warden or our dog person is a dog boarder. And she'll only take up to 3 dogs at a time. And she'll only take certain dogs. She won't take any of the dogs from Corbett kennels or anything because of the coccidiosis and the parvovirus that they had. So I think it's very important that we get a dog warden, and she will not answer complaints.
How do we get a dog warden?
I think that sheriff person can do it.
The constable can be appointed as a dog warden.
The constable can be correct. Well, I mean, I need to review our ordinance, but I mean,
Seems like it's getting a little out of control.
It's
Dogs,
way out of control.
So.
It's way out of control. When I go to 9 complaints,
Right.
and none of the dogs are registered,
It's one of the biggest things that the town has
and
done.
the complaint on Railroad Street, the only way that's going to be handled is if the dogs are taken away.
Well, if our, you know,
We are going through the process now
Yeah.
of our dog ordinance.
yeah.
These people,
But if we're limited in capacity, I mean, how many dogs do they have?
they have two. They have two dogs that are causing the complaints. We had
Plus the
4
ones-
different complaints just on that street.
Okay. Same dogs?
Yes.
Are they barking or run loose or?
Oh, running loose and causing problems with other dogs. And I asked them to send them down to my house. And I said, if they bother my goats, you won't have to worry about any more complaints.
Right.
And they haven't sent them down. I don't know why.
Whoa.
And then we had another complaint on one on Pine Street, but that one's been taken care of already. That's all I've got for that. Oh, zoning. In the next month, we finalized the new zoning,
Okay.
and they're gonna bring it to you once it's typed up and all the corrections are made.
Okay.
And so you just sign off on that.
Any major changes?
There's some good changes.
Yeah.
Some real good changes. Yep.
All right. Anything else for zoning administrator or health officer?
No.
Yeah. Carrie sent me some info on, she printed it here too, but sent some info on some, what was this one? Yeah, it was funding for landlords
Yes.
that came out. That was the only other thing. Vermont Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
That's for the landlords and.
Yeah, to get things fixed up.
Yeah.
I will say, like, we need, I don't have the time to do health officer stuff, so
No,
anybody.
I'm handling.
No, I know, I appreciate that. It would be nice to have somebody that can actually step up and help with that. Because it's a big, well, there's a lot of parts to it, I mean, for sure.
It seems to be, but the state has recognized that health officers shouldn't be involved in a lot of other things. They've actually cut back, so that's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dan. We'll, I guess we need to talk, we're gonna have to talk more about the dog warden and whatever. I don't know if we can talk, you know, if, as a constable duty to.
It should be. In a lot of towns, that's who handles it, is the constable.
So we could talk to Mark about that also and try to figure out.
Interestingly enough, Mark's one of the dog is not registered.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't work for the town yet, so.
No.
You'll have to get that, have to get that squared away first.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Dan. Maintenance.
Okay, I have a few things. Last meeting, we talked about the chimney savers, having that company come and inspect our chimney. Hadn't been done. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Quite a while. So they're coming September 22nd, between 8 and 10. Tim Corey came and did the emergency light in Dorothy's office, so it looks great. He also provided an estimate on the town park lights and a timer, and they're energy efficient, and a lift to get them up there to change them. I think it's a 2-day job. It would rebuild the whole timer system because he said it was junk, and
The lights need to be all updated and.
yeah, energy efficient.
Energy efficient,
Yeah.
whatever, which I think is a great idea. How would we, what kind of money would we use for that? Where would?
Well, we
where
have
would the
town
money-
property maintenance
Yep.
that,
How much money is in property town maintenance?
I think, we're using some for the ball fields, but hopefully we won't use it all. And it's repairs to the property. We budgeted 15,000. It's on page 5. And we've spent like 6,700 so far. So there could be,
So could we possibly have some left that we could put towards those lights.
Yeah, we're
to get
hoping.
those lights done.
So,
I asked him about it, if you guys thought to move forward, either it would be this late fall when we would know where the budget is, or next summer.
I say absolutely, if you're gonna have people down there and have a park, it should be
I know.
lit up at night, and it will cause less problems and less issues, and yes.
That's
So-
nothing we can get Efficiency Vermont or Green Mountain Power on board with updating those.
You said that, Tim, we would get,
There's quite a few rebates on these lights, but I don't know about Efficiency Vermont programs.
Yeah.
I mean,
not generally.
I mean, Tim said like, supply and demand is such an issue, he did buy some. So if he knows we want them, he'll set them aside, and the program, the rebates would work. But, you know,
I say yes, I say it's definitely, we should light the park up
Right.
at night and whatever, it'll cause less problems and people won't have other things going on, so.
And it's something that's needed to be done, you know, they've tried to fix them, you know, your dad was down there trying to work on them, my husband's down there trying to
Yeah,
figure it out, and it just,
so I guess it's just a matter,
Right.
it's old and
Right.
outdated and it needs to be
Right.
updated, and so where's the money? So if we have money left over from that thing, then we could, but we won't know that till when.
Well,
till like September, I think we'd know, cause by then the ball fields will be done, and then we'll know.
I guess I would be interested in making a motion to go ahead with planning on doing that. We're gonna have to see on funds so that we could have Tim save the lights for that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, what do you guys think?
I mean, I'm definitely supportive of us moving forward with it. The funding is gonna be the
Yeah, depending on
question.
funding, it's gonna
Yeah,
go down
but-
if we have the money left over. Otherwise, we would have to wait till next year to do the project or finish the project or something type of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think with Zach, I just hesitate committing to it, not knowing you can pay for it. Which is what you're saying. You wouldn't do it until you knew you had the money
Yeah.
anyways.
But
But if
they're
we
saying
don't-
they can't do this till next year anyway at this point, right?
No, he thought he could do it in the fall,
This fall.
yeah.
If we have
And
the
I
funds.
told him I didn't know whether it'd be this fall or next spring, depending on the budget.
Well, I know how these things go. We talk about all this, but then nothing ever really happens, so I just.
No, I get that. I just, my biggest, it's definitely important, but I think the problem being, like, we don't have this in the budget anywhere at this point, you know, unless we.
But it would be grounds. It would
Town
be
property maintenance
Town
for
property
the
maintenance,
park
really.
and ball fields. I mean, I just would say, let's just look at it September 1st, and I'll tell Tim it may happen.
So the board's leaning that way.
Yeah.
but
We'd like
budget's
to,
being
but I mean,
clear.
yeah,
Yeah.
I also.
No, I mean, I think the
It's very
board's,
good to work
the board's
with.
agreeable to it.
Well,
Definitely.
with all of the issues, concerns, and otherwise that we've had with the budget this year, I would not want
Yeah, I'm
to
just thinking security,
overextend
you know, like
ourselves.
safety and security and the
Yeah.
park and whatever. I think that's a really big,
But we can,
a big good thing to do. We had people sleeping or somebody sleeping down there and whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
Nope. We
always
just
come
got
out.
the trees all cut down there.
right, that's what I mean. If
Yeah.
we're gonna fix it up, let's
So,
make it related.
just
so
talking more about the park, the lights weren't working in the gazebo, so I asked, Matt Nunn, cause he's done a lot of work on the gazebo, painted it and such, and I asked if he wouldn't mind going down to see if it's an electrical problem or if it's a bulb, and he went down and just bulbed. So he changed the bulbs,
that's why it was lit up.
yeah.
Good.
So
Okay.
that's done. And then when Tim was here, there was an outlet up on the gym stage that blows every time you plug into it. So he fixed that, took some part out and put another one in. So, and then, here is a picture of the outside of the corner of my office, up high. When Tim was here, he came in and said that the service point of attachment is too close to the rain gutters. The rain gutters were put in 2017, And the rain, you can see how the electrical is so close to the rain
Yep.
gutters.
Right.
And Tim said that is a huge hazard.
You know what? The
very
passive,
worried.
the passive guy just came through this building and he did
I know,
not say
I
anything
know,
about it,
I
so.
know.
So we're good to go.
Yes, for a master electrician, he looks at that and
Yeah.
he says that is an absolute travesty. How did anybody let that go?
Right.
But your insurance company
Right.
said, everything's fine with your building.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, they have to
So-
cover us if it burns down,
That's
so.
right.
Yeah.
They said it was fine.
Yep.
But the electrician.
So I just had my husband come down and look at it, and he said Green Mountain Power could do it for free, just move it 2 feet over, cause it's,
Will they do it for free?
well, I placed a call. And
Okay.
Sent
Okay.
this picture to the person I spoke to
Yeah.
and asked him what the deal is,
Yeah.
and so I haven't heard back.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if it's a safety issue and it needs
I mean,
to be
if Green Mountain
corrected,
Power-
it needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
either way,
Right.
as much as I'd love to say that the
As-
insurance company looked at that and said, yeah, it looks fine, they probably
As
didn't
long
look
as
at it.
it's not $5,000.
Right, I know, right. Would that be considered community building improvement?
We don't have a budget for one this year.
We have reserves, a little.
We have $5,000 in reserves for that. It could fall under that, community building improvement.
And speaking of VLCT audit, I sent pictures of all the things that were done. I had Junior send me a picture of the things up at the fire station, so I sent it and we're all set. So
Okay.
he's very happy, so all the boxes are checked. So,
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for maintenance? That's it? We good?
just, I have been trying to reach out to the power washing guy that, gave us a quote last year and said it was the same. He's been really busy and I haven't heard back. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
if we do the park lights, we might not be able to do the washing of the building. So, you know.
Okay.
Okay.
I have 2 maintenance things.
Okay.
I was here working one night in the afternoon and someone was in to use the building. They were using the kitchen. The white stove is gas. The gas is turned off. So she's trying to use both ovens. She can smell gas. So her husband went home to get matches to come back and try to light the gas stove. That's a huge, huge liability. I don't know the answer. Do we leave the pilot on? Do we not have the pilot on? But
Well, it's the lever behind, and you have to turn it just so, and it comes on, then the gas will work, but,
you're gonna light the pilot.
yeah, it doesn't light itself?
No.
Really?
That's a pilot lit
Oh,
stove.
I didn't know that. I've never used it.
That's it, we were looking,
Huh.
okay.
I don't believe it. She was turning the oven on, smelling gas, and there was no flame or heat. So.
Yeah, I'd take and put a match in there and look to see what was in it. That seems reasonable.
All right, well,
So I guess-
we need to make a sign, say something.
Yeah, make
Now, is this a regular person who
I think
wants
Smell gas,
it was,
like that.
somebody rented the building for
Yes.
an event, correct?
Yes.
Do they usually use the kitchen and stuff? Is that part of this?
It can be, I mean,
Yeah.
if
Every
they
once in a
need
while,
it, yeah.
Well, that's kind of a serious thing then if we got people that are renting and don't know what they're doing and then
It's the first
they
time I've
blow
heard
up
of
the
it.
building.
Serious thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think
That's a
that's a good
high
idea.
liability issue.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
can't do that.
No,
So,
that's a, yeah. My suggestion would be that
I mean, like,
You either take the stove out or you tell them when they rent them that they can only use the electric commercial one.
I would take the stove out.
Yeah.
We just went through this whole thing about the paying for the gas tank.
Well, I know, but so if somebody leaves the gas, even if they don't light it, but they leave the gas on and blow up the building when you come into work and
so
or
it's
something.
gonna become a $5 million project.
Yeah, you won't have
Building, well,
you won't have to worry about fixing the parking lot.
No.
Just saying.
I seem
Oh
to
my
need it.
God.
No, I
I
think,
mean, there's technicians that have blown up houses, so, I mean, okay, Dorothy,
At this
that is
point, this is-
definitely a serious problem.
do we-
Thank you, Dorothy, that brings things to light.
do we unhook it? I mean, do we just get the tank removed and unhook it altogether and?
I'd say shut it off at the at the tank.
The only time that stove is used is for the chicken pie supper.
Usually, yeah.
Which is fine, because it's all responsible and everybody's here
So-
doing all this
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
if somebody were renting
Well,
that,
that's what I'm saying.
something got left on,
So you want me to call the gas company and have them disconnect it from the tank?
Yes.
And then
Well,
they will
and
put
the other
it,
question would be, do we,
what if we
No.
just disconnect it and then
I
leave it
just-
for now? Or is there some kind of a lock system?
Shut it off.
Connect it right at the tank,
Yeah.
and then you've got it.
But then if somebody comes and hooks it back up and blah, 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 when because they wanna use
No,
it.
you call.
Is there a safety thing to lock out a gas stove or anything that anybody knows of? I mean, like, can you lock it out?
Just call the company, they'll come and get the tank.
Not
Give us
really.
some money back to the tank.
you could turn the valve off, you can get like an
well, that's what the valve is behind.
Well, yeah, I know, but
Turn it
anybody
down.
can turn that on or off, it's not a
No, that's what I'm
lockout
saying.
valve.
So you can get like a lockout coupling thing that goes over it,
Oh.
lock it.
Well, wouldn't that be a simple
Over the
thing to
valve.
That would
do?
probably be
But
the
then what are
easiest
you gonna
thing.
do with the tank?
No,
that
we
would be
would
the
still
valve.
use it during the chicken pie supper, but it wouldn't be available for just anybody to use.
All right, I'll call, I think it's.
Can we check into it?
I'll
Is it
text.
propane?
It is
Yeah.
propane, yeah.
I mean, do we just have the tank removed and, you know, when we need to use it for chicken pie supper or whatever, we just get a tank
Well, that seems
temporarily in
kinda
place?
silly.
No, that's a lot of work, I don't know.
What if we
Full
needed-
tank.
You can go down to Dad's store buy and get a tank.
I know, but then they'll have to credit us and then we have to get it back.
Can we check into just calling them and see if there's something we can do because of the situation?
Go down to Dad's 4x4, get a 20-gallon tank, you know, hook it up when you wanna use that stove.
I know, I have those in the shop, but.
So, it's very simple. Then they would know how to use it.
What? Or we just buy another electric stove.
Yeah, you can do that too.
All right,
Anyway,
I'll call
Okay.
and get options.
Okay, options, good.
All right.
Thank you.
Options.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Yeah,
Thanks,
before,
Dorothy.
before somebody blows it up.
Yeah,
else?
now I'm scared of that.
More.
And one more, we have no hot water.
huh?
Here?
Here, no hot water.
Well, where? I have hot water, we have hot water upstairs.
It runs hot for just, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds and then it's just lukewarm
Ah,
for weeks.
Where's the
Huh.
hot water in there?
Well, let's get a plumber to come look at it,
Garrett Aiken should be able to come
All
by.
right.
because I don't know anything about that.
all you do is just test your electric.
That's all I've
Find
got.
out which one's
Yeah.
going.
All right, you want me to call Aiken and
I
see
would.
if he can come?
Yeah, yeah, cool. I don't remember what it's at. I don't think it's an electric, must be an indirect down there.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, I'll ask him.
All right.
Fix it.
Probably that.
Okay, anything else for maintenance?
Boilers quit working and nobody knows because it's July.
Okay,
Other than no driving across the, by the way, if somebody drives across the leach field, we're having this problem at work and damages those pipes in the ground, it's gonna be a problem.
Yes, I
We'll
know.
have
Oh,
to,
yeah.
so
Oh
if
my
those
God.
pipes break, at any point, we're gonna end up with gray water
It's,
all over the
yeah,
lawn,
you're gonna
so.
have a failure right there. The other problem is that where it was reseeded, where they're driving over it, they're filling it and stuff.
well, no, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
We
wondering.
don't have a lot of officer to work with there.
No, there isn't a lot.
Does it look like it's like
Any.
a motor vehicle or an ATV?
No, motor vehicles, but it was this morning when I was in the office, somebody took and drove onto it. It was like, wait a minute, by the time I got out there, they had decided that they were gonna get off it.
Well,
But,
for the time being, we can just put in a couple stakes and ripping it all off, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that's-
IT, anything for IT?
Yeah, the Wi-Fi renewal is coming up on this Sunday. So I talked to Gary on the phone about it and he goes, well,
How much is the renewal
we
again?
don't know. We never
We
got a
did this
figure.
last year.
Gary said you gotta ask Zach. He has the connection. So, you know, here we are.
I didn't get anything from them that said that this was due for renewal, so I mean, I would say let's see what happens.
Right, okay,
I mean,
so just
if
saying.
it's not working on Monday, just shoot me a note and I'll see if I can call them. Oh wait, the Wi-Fi won't be working, so. I mean, the message that we had, I think last year when we went around with this, it was all taken care of. There was nothing else we needed to do.
Gary thought that was just for that year. He doesn't know if it's still, situation is still this year
Was
too?
it Robert Fish? Who was that you were dealing with this
Yeah.
day?
Have they sent us a bill?
No, no.
This is just us thinking.
I put it on the town calendar when it was up for renewal last year and it popped up. And so I called.
But we haven't got-
It was Rob Fish that came back.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I think you did, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to worry about it
Don't
at all.
worry about
Just telling you.
it. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Planning commission, we kind of talked about that already, so
Yep, we're all set.
we're good, okay. Summer select board schedule for August. So we decided 8/3/22.
Wednesday, August 3rd,
Wednesday,
August 3rd.
select board meeting.
Okay, if I missed that, it wasn't on purpose. No.
I can remind you.
if it's all right, I'll try to put together a tentative, I mean, that's a month from now, but I'll put together a tentative agenda so we can try to make sure everybody knows that we're changing it from a Thursday to a
Yeah, we
Wednesday.
can post it on the town
Electric sign
site,
too.
everywhere.
Website,
What
Facebook.
about, we didn't have public, we haven't done.
We haven't got there yet. It's on there.
You're getting it.
Okay.
Did I put it? No, yeah, it's right there. Okay, open to the public and other business. I'm gonna start with, and I forgot to bring it with me, but I received an anonymous payment of $50 for the rental fee of the community building for last year's chicken pie supper. The person that provided the funds has asked to remain anonymous, but said that hopefully that would lay an olive branch between the town and my phones.
no.
Sorry, it's just a work phone.
It is, yeah.
Between, you know, between the town and community club, kind of for moving forward with, you know, events. So I just wanted to make sure that that was stated, but I
Great.
received that fund, so I'm gonna get it to Lisa next week.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, good.
Okay, other things for open to the public and other business?
Next Friday, from next Friday to the following Wednesday, I won't be available, but I'll take care of the stuff for zoning and things. After that, 20th, I start back full-time at Groton for a couple months.
7/20?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not available this next Friday.
Next
15th
15th,
to the 20th.
You're not gonna have all this extra time to deal with the town stuff.
They're paying you twice as much as what they were.
You know, it's like the mafia when you do it for government. You're never really out of it.
Right.
You're never quite satisfied.
Retired 5 years ago, supposedly.
Bet you they asked Zach if you want to re-enlist already.
What was it, $50,000 sign-on bonus to join the Army right here?
Okay. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Dan. Mr. Lyons.
Couple, three things for you. One is we're hoping you're going to start publishing the agenda, continue up at the Upper Valley Grill, one out there this month.
Yeah, I
did it at Groton Tire and all that.
Okay. We do miss it. If you need help, let me know and I'll post it for you.
Yeah,
Print it off the website.
You print it out and I'll take it out. So
well, I just know this week didn't.
that day, maybe.
No.
Okay, yeah, we'll try to get that.
We'll try to work on it. Yeah, it's just.
Because I almost missed it, frankly, because of all.
Well, I'll be honest. You know, his hours don't necessarily coincide with my work schedule all the time. So.
You just leave it in the mail slot down there. I'll do it for you.
Okay.
The second thing, I have a question for you. We've approached Efficiency Vermont about putting together a plan for the public buildings. Like, we know these lights are out of date. We got some other ideas. Do you want us to interface with anyone on your organization?
So what I'll tell you about Efficiency Vermont is, because we went through this when we redid the insulation 2 years ago, we have expended our money for Efficiency
No, I'm
Vermont.
not asking for money.
No, I'm just saying, our available funds for Efficiency Vermont that we're eligible to partake in, we have partaken in all of those funds.
Not asking for money. Just want to put together a plan.
No, I'm just saying, with Efficiency Vermont, the town of Groton has utilized the available funds from Efficiency Vermont that were available to us to utilize.
Same comment. Not asking for money. We just want to put together a plan.
For what, I guess?
Well, let me give you a simple example. One of the things that we found that is clean and obvious is that we get charged per meter. And Lisa gave me a copy of all your bills, for instance. So you had a separate meter on the fire department. It's cost you $250 or $300 a year for that meter. But no gain. It's just because it's a separate meter. So if we were to combine them, that would be cool. If you're going to do it, you want to run the conduit when you do your project out front. You may have to change the service, etc. So that's not efficient for Vermont, so I'm just putting together a plan, identifies that among other things. The other component of it is that we would tie in solar panels to it, because our goal is to get it so it's zero cost to the town.
Okay.
So it's a broader global thing, and Efficiency Vermont can help us put together a plan, whether it's money or not. They have the right skills.
Okay.
So the question is, we're willing to do it as volunteers, and we'll do it. We just want to know is if anyone you'd like to have participate with us or not. This doesn't matter, it's totally up to you.
Well, I mean, I guess the question is, you know, if you're volunteering to do work on behalf of the town, you know, we kind of need to understand what that means, because even as volunteers, you're a representative of the town when it comes to dealing with town property issues.
However you want to word
it. Well, it's not how I want to word it. That's the legal terminology will be that you are duly appointed. You would have to be appointed by us, I think.
No, we're not looking for appointments.
I'll work with you on that, Peter.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Peter, what it comes down to is and if Tristan wants to work on it, that's perfectly fine, but there's no decisions that can be made on any of that stuff without the select board making those decisions.
That's fine. We're putting together a plan to bring it back for proposal, thought process, debate, and whatever.
Okay, and I've said I'm not necessarily opposed to that personally, but we do have a lot of money tied up in several projects already right now, and that's where my concern is. We've got a very large drainage and infrastructure project that we're working on, and you know, with that project, I don't want us to get other projects started that will have a direct impact on that project in one way or another. So that
it's just
looking at lights and all that stuff is.
Well, but I mean, again, what I'd say is things like lights, like if there's a suggestion on are the lights we're purchasing LED or not, and we should change those over. Again, those costs, we've expended our ability to get rebates and other things from Efficiency Vermont for that stuff.
Forever?
Yeah. Yes,
I think
forever.
so.
Forever?
Yes.
Well,
and so we can pay out of our pocket.
We used it all.
On what?
I don't think so.
The gym ceiling and insulation and the walls.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, well, as a business in Vermont, I have upgraded 2 or 3 times to Efficiency Vermont on all my lighting and.
Maybe.
So, I'm just saying,
Be generates after a few years, I don't know.
It's not. I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
it's willing to look at it, whatever.
I think with some of it, if we haven't upgraded lights, I think you're right. I think it's a one-time upgrade on lights in our facility, but
it's just willing.
So I mean, it's fine if there's specific things that are going to make us more energy efficient. I'm not opposed to that, but again, I think we need to make sure that we're not doing that stuff in detriment to projects that we have a lot of funds tied up in right now.
No, I know, but look at the whole world as far as being efficient and green and whatever, so we need to keep that in mind as a town also.
No,
I'm not saying we're going forward, you know, I'm not saying we're doing anything or not doing anything,
well,
it's just.
Right, it's just that we need to get one thing completed before we start 2 or 3 others.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know we were.
That would actually be a mistake, but, you know, just to be frank with you, that you need to plan ahead. You don't, every business.
We are planning ahead. We've got, what, 3 projects ahead now between the infrastructure out here, CUD and things.
Yeah.
And we haven't got any.
Well, and I would say too, like.
Well, no, I know, but when I'm planning something, it takes, especially with the town, it takes years to get anything to happen.
Here's my recommendation, Peter and Tristan. So one, we're halfway through the budget year, and we don't necessarily have funds for that. However, just hear me out here, okay? Don't interrupt before I finish what I'm saying. What I'm saying is look, it doesn't cost us a cent. So to do
hold on, Zach, hold on.
Well, let me finish real quick.
I don't really appreciate what you're like, so I'm giving you a suggestion for you and Peter. And we're a board, so let's be a board, okay? And if I just said that I would work with Peter and we would take a look at things.
Well,
that's all.
No, that's fine.
All we're doing.
That's wonderful.
But I still can make a recommendation, okay? And my recommendation to you is one, you're right, it doesn't cost any money for us to look into that stuff.
budget season is coming up in November. So if there's specific expenditures that we want to make when it comes to any improvements for energy efficiency for the property, that we look at what those costs are so we can include that in the budget for next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's
I didn't know that we were planning on doing, I didn't think we were planning on doing anything this year or whatever, and maybe not even next year, but building a plan and whatever is
I don't think
is
there's
all that I was saying.
I don't think there's an issue with us putting together a plan. I think the big thing is, you know, the big thing, and again, Peter, it's not about the plan, it's about the fact that I don't want a plan to turn into things happening that are going to get in the way of projects that we have a lot of financial stuff into, so.
Not a problem. Okay, so that's cool.
Right.
We got the support to do a plan, and I've got a board member that will help, and that's just wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And then the second thing we have a gift for you.
Okay.
You ready? Doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
You ready, Zach?
Go ahead, open it up.
Okay, no, you're gonna open it. So, first thing was the salt shed got run into a few years ago. Did we get any insurance money out of that?
I don't.
Okay, well, it
was
needs to be
before
repaired up
maybe.
there. And we have a sign, at one time it was gonna be put up over the top and it disappeared. So we have donating the sign.
Okay.
And this is that. And we can open it. There's a lot of work put in the right.
I can tell. All right. And this is for.
It's donated. Doesn't cost you anything.
Save that for the next time.
Yeah, I want you to read
When I was a kid, that's no joke. My mother used to say, be careful with the wrapping paper, we can use it next year.
I've got 13 grandkids, so I get anything wrapped anytime you want.
That is nice.
Is that cool? And by the way, I like to give credit because sometimes we lose track of it. That sign and all the ones you see around town.
What does it say, salt shed?
Yeah. Highway department.
Highway department.
Yeah, it's for the salt shed. That sign and all the ones you see like that, that was made by Charlie Frost.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
That is
Charlie
cool.
Frost did that.
That is cool.
So he's a great carpenter. So it's a nice gift.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you
So
very
we're-
much.
Thank you.
Good job.
So where, since this is a gift to the town, where is it?
Salt shed.
Yeah, right by
Well, I don't
the
think we
highway
should put it on the
garage.
community building.
It was like
I should be able to put on distance there.
The brown shed.
We'll make sure that it gets to.
Who does our install?
Paul Wilson will put it up at no cost to you. It's been paid for.
Right.
Yeah, he was just working at my house, I paid for it.
Well, I mean, I was gonna give this to Harold to have
But you're doing it,
installed.
but have Paul get it ultimately to put it up.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have
And I would
it in the office.
encourage you.
Well, would you like to take it to give to Bo to have it
Sure,
installed?
yeah.
Do you want me
I
to
can
give
keep
it
it
to
in the
Bob to get it put up?
Since he's working on that house.
Yeah, no, we finished.
Ah.
Did you pay him?
Not yet.
He'll be back.
He'll be by, yeah.
Hopefully the salt shed, the salt shed does need repair.
Okay,
It's all beat up.
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
Nice.
Anything else for open to the public or other business?
I have something, Aaron. Last meeting, you kind of said, let's start going over town policies and employee policies. So I didn't really know where to begin.
Yeah.
So I did nothing.
Okay.
So, I, like you to tell me where to start. And, then I will dive in and look at it and see if VLCT has updated that specific one. Maybe give me 3 and then to look at, and then I can see if they need to be.
Think probably I'll stop by the office next week sometime.
Okay.
And if we can gather up what we've got,
Sure.
then I can look at those and see, and if I can catch a day when you're here, and we can look at them and just see between the two of us if there's something that we think needs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that should be on the agenda for next meeting. 1 or 2 of them, if we
Okay,
can.
thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll pick a couple.
We might not. There might only be a couple that need to be reviewed.
Right. Right.
So,
Okay. I think, that's a good
That'd be
idea.
fun.
We don't want to get into all those.
What's that?
Okay. Anything else? Anything else for open to the public and other business? Okay.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
You said set up a meeting with the engineer.
Yeah, I still need to do that.
Yeah.
My work schedule has not permitted me to
You
do what
want
I
me to set
thought.
it up?
I mean, you can. I can always,
I'll take care of it if you want.
if you can try to schedule something with Nate, that'd be great, but
I'll do it, I'll work with you and Nate, find a time.
yeah, that'd be great, because
Okay.
my schedule is insane right now,
Now, I've
so.
been known to do it at strange times, so.
Okay.
Zach's been doing so much work at work, they decided to promote him.
Right.
Yeah. Make me do more work. Got promoted and started driving a truck.
Now you're really making money.
Yeah, jeez.
I would think it'd be
Not really.
not be driving truck.
You would think. Thanks, Peter. That'd be helpful.
Okay.
Anything else? Open to public or other business? Okay. Set the agenda for next select board meeting. So, we'll keep the OLT cabinet easement discussion going, and I think the next step will be, hopefully in a month, we can be close to having an easement document to review and try to get that to Gavin. So we'll just keep that on the agenda as a to-do right there.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Would it be helpful if we sent him the easement now and then with the thought that
Yep.
we're determining a location, just to get it in front of him, because I'm sure
Yep.
he's busy, you said he's gonna be doing a lot of easements for you, if that would work?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
And then you can let him know that we're picking out the location, here's our, alternate
And I think Mike sent us the,
Yeah, in Word document,
electronically,
I sent it to him in a Word, and
Yep.
if you want me to send it to you, I can, but.
no, I think he sent it to us, so we've got it, so.
Perfect.
I can forward that on to Gavin, and then,
Thank you.
I think the big thing is if we keep it on the agenda, if we
Oh,
wanna,
I agree,
if
but,
it's all set by then, we can vote on it and
perfect,
check that off.
thank you.
Yep. Infrastructure will just keep on there as an ongoing,
What about the sheriffs, are you?
yeah.
Put
You
sheriff on
you
there.
can have time to work on that, or you?
I'm gonna send some emails off, just to get a hold of them,
You've got
get an
policies
updated agreement, I got policies too.
written down already.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that one going over the weekend.
You're gonna talk to Merrick Hopper.
Yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. So next meeting, that'll be on the agenda at Mark.
I will, constable appointment.
That's good, because I want to get a puffer involved
Yep.
Excellent.
All right.
Because I know it won't be Matt.
We need to get some young blood.
That's right, we do. That's right.
Anything else that is specific to the agenda? So August, we're gonna return back to twice a month meetings.
I don't know, we haven't really decided that.
June, July, August, I think.
We
I
said
thought it
June,
was
July.
September.
We had said June, July, but
I
I'm
know.
not against August.
I'm just
So,
saying.
yeah, I think I'm not gonna be here for the next one.
Okay.
Only-
And I'll be
only
on
August
vacation
3rd.
in August, so.
We might as well, we're losing
Yeah.
two of
I
them.
think the
Alright.
rest of
Yeah, let's
August.
just do September.
So we'll cancel the meeting on the 18th.
Yeah,
18,
just August 3rd, and that will be it.
correct. And then we come back after Labor Day.
I'll be
No,
back in
before Labor
March.
Day.
Yeah, before.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Right. We'll sign the orders here. I moved
Pass
to
those
adjourn.
my way and I'll
What's that? I moved to adjourn,
you
and
have-
we'll sign the orders afterwards.
I think I
You
got
did
all
those.
this.
Okay, second it.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
I
All right. Thank you, everybody.
For us to sign.